Welcome back to another reading episode of Word Counts and Wingspans. Today we're going to be deep diving into the last few chapters of Quicksilver, going from chapter 31 till the end. And then, so of course, if you haven't read this book yet, make sure you save this, come back to it when you do read so you can go along with us in our deep dive and see if you come up with some of the same ideas that we have. Also, in future episodes, we are going to be starting a Fable book club. So once we get that started, hopefully with our next read through after Brimstone, we will let you guys all know about that. So keep an ear out for coming up book club started for Word Counts and Wingspans. So let's get into the deep dive.
Yeah, for chapter 31, I have when Ren and Sierra, as they were fighting the vampires or feeders or whatever, when he said, "Don't you die on my watch, Sierra's fan, Fisher will never forgive me if his sole reason for living is torn to pieces on her first effing battlefield." I did like that. I don't know why.
Yeah, I like that too. I like Ren.
Yeah, I liked him a lot. So it's, again, one we're probably going to end up losing in one of the coming books.
Yeah.
These authors love to do that to us. They love to give us these great side characters and rip them away. That thought may have crossed my mind about the Wyvern King series, but you wouldn't like the other characters I've thought about ripping away.
Like who?
We're not
Okay, I guess
talking
you
about
can't
that.
tell me that.
No, I'm not going to tell you.
You can't say something like that and not explain yourself.
I think there's a few that might get ripped away. I don't know. You know how it always changes. In my mind, I think it would help build the story if this happened. But once I get to that, this character may say F you and change the script completely. It's happened. You know it's happened.
Yeah, I can't talk. You've read my book, so
Exactly.
no spoilers, but nobody's safe.
And this is the chapter 2 where they find out that Evelyn is with Malcolm, that he took her.
Yeah.
Because I do have at the end, like, question marks. Is she on his side? Like, was she double crossing them?
Yeah.
So the way that chapter ended had me like, oh, you can't have her. Like, no, she did not give me bad vibes at all.
I was wondering about that too, if she was going to end up turning on them.
But as we find in 32, that was definitely not the case, that they had captured her.
Mm-hmm. I don't have anything for 32 either. Nothing that was highlighted anyway.
I have another. See, this last few, I had a lot for like each chapter, like, because this one has that I marked down that Tal. I'm just gonna call him Tal from now on.
Yeah, that's probably smart.
And so Tal, I marked down, didn't have the stomach for hurting things that Fisher's cares about. So like a lot of their relationship and how they interacted with each other, like, definitely drew my attention. Now,
Yeah,
again,
there's definitely
read Brimstone, I understand why now, a lot of reason why, but I was definitely drawn to their connection.
I was curious about it for sure from the beginning. Like, okay, isn't he supposed to be part of like the bad guys? But why is like what's this connection here between them?
Then we find out that Fisher was Malcolm's most prized collection, that he was really sad when he had to let that piece go. This is also the chapter where I definitely put big emphasis on Ren is in love with Evelyn.
Oh yeah, for sure. I thought that too. I have to kind of skip over this because I don't even remember at this point what happens.
Yeah, so
But
another reason.
I definitely thought Ren was in love with her almost from the beginning.
Yeah, but I could really see it more in this chapter where a lot of the things he did, a lot of things he said, like he was ready to tear the world apart for her.
Yeah, and he was you do not fit in there, ma'am. She's trying to get behind my throne of glass books on this shelf in front of me. And the hole's like this big. So I'm like, she gets in there, she's definitely knocking everything down. And if she ruins those books, we're going to have a problem. I love you, Willow, but we're going to have a problem if you ruin my throne of glass books. All right, I'm sorry.
Better be.
But yes, he was so worried about her when she was missing and so like hell-bent on getting her back. And I was like, oh, he loves her for sure. But like I said, I almost caught that like right at the very beginning.
Yeah, I could definitely see that when they were at that castle.
Was there.
The Winter Palace, was it? Yeah, I definitely noticed it there too. But I'm like, when she came back into the picture here, I'm like, oh yeah, he's in love with her. Mm-hmm. And then 33. Do you have anything on that one?
No. This must have been when I was like just reading, like, because I know I got to a point where I couldn't put it down and I got super deep into it and I kind of forgot that I was supposed to be taking notes.
Ironically enough, the beginning of this chapter, before I even started writing any notes, I'm like, we've gone this whole entire book, and the only real mention of this Danya was about her sword. Her sword shatters, and we don't hear from her again. So I'm like, literally, the top line says, "Where the F is Danya been?"
Oh,
Like,
and this is where she comes back, right?
yes. So it's like
Wait, is this
literally at the bottom of the last few lines goes, "Oh, there she is."
where she gets all jacked up or no?
Where she tried to take back his sword, and her hand was turned to mist. Yeah, while
Yeah.
throwing her across the war tent.
Yep. She did, because the sword ended up being Lorith's because he sang that song or whatever. And I remember
Yes.
she was like super upset about that. And then, yeah, tried to take it, right? She tried to take
Yes.
it back from him.
And that's
I'm
when her
reaching way
hand turned
back
to
in my
mist.
memory for this. I feel like it's been forever since we read the time. Listen, time is going so fast, but at the same time, like things feel like they were so long ago.
Oh no, I understand. I do have a lot of other stuff for this chapter, but it's mostly like the world building, like how Malcolm turned the vampires, or how they all were infected, and he decided to stay infected even after the last Yelvarian king discovered the cure.
That's in this chapter? Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, Malcolm was one of the few who chose to remain vampires.
Evelyn needs to drink from him to be able to return back to what she to normal, to not be cursed with this blood.
Yeah. I was like making sure all my highlights didn't disappear from my Kindle for some reason because I feel like I flagged that, but as world building probably because it's like the lore
Yeah.
around the vampires. Do you have anything else for 33?
Not really. Nothing that helps build to any like theories or anything like that. Like I said, it's mostly about
Yeah.
understanding the vampire lore and all of that.
I was curious as to why he chose to stay a vampire, and I don't even remember if we got an
Oh,
answer for that.
I don't think so. I'm kind of just more along the lines of like powerful. He's still more powerful that way, and now he was the lord over everybody, like instead of the king. He didn't have to listen to the Dynathasiate, whatever
Yeah.
that family
Date
bloodline. Like he can
dating
rule
this
over
or
his own.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd much rather get to the
That
point where
that's
we can
kind of
say who the heir is.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking too, it was kind of a power thing. That's kind of what I was
I
thinking.
mean, that's what all the villains go for. Is it's all about power. It's like who can have best power, who can have the most power. I mean, one of the main concepts in my own story is like they just want to be more powerful than everybody else. I mean, I'd say something about current situations, but we'll just leave that at that because we won't be political here.
Well, I think power is always like a theme in every book, I feel like too. It's in one in mine too, you know what I mean? Like control or whatever.
It's the
So, I
theme of the
mean,
world.
yeah, yeah.
So in chapter 34, we find out why Archer and Wren got so heated about where Sierra sat at Fisher's table.
Yes, because why?
Because that seat is reserved for the lady of the house.
Okay, that's what I thought. Listen, I feel like I'm like, did I even read this book right now? Because I can't remember anything.
And that's how I felt when we were going over what was that last series?
The Red Queen.
Yes.
Was that the last one? Oh my gosh. Feels like a
Yeah,
million years
see?
ago.
Like that's why I'm just drawing a blank. That's why I have to have these very detailed notes. Or I'm just gonna sit here staring at you like, Andrea, you need to take this over because I can't do anything.
I
Tables have
know.
turned
That's how
now.
I kind of feel like that right now because I'm like, I know I read this book, but did I read this book? Am I
um,
imagining things? I did highlight Carrion
but it's
at
the
the end
same
of the
thing.
first. Yeah, that smoking hot blonde said I was pretty. And
And
then he
I
said,
love a girl with a sharp tongue and a bad attitude kind of makes my dick hard.
yes, yeah, I had that whole little like conversation.
Of course. Freaking
Yeah, I love
carrion.
Carrion. Yep,
Right?
everything he says is so much fun. Not so much in Brimstone though. I wasn't
I'm
quite
still
to that
glad for
level.
his comic relief in that, though. He does still
Yes.
pop up at those times where it's like, oh, it's just getting really dull. Thank you, Carrion.
And then I also highlighted his quote. I just love it when you disappear into tense conversations with creepy portal metal. It's fascinating watching you do all of those facial gymnastics.
Everything he says is just great.
Hmm. And then I laughed at this part too. This is Carrion again. And you remain the only bright star in a sea of darkness here. Tell me you've changed your mind about having dinner with me. And she says, I regret to inform you I'm still happily mated and married, Carrion Swift. And then she says, my husband isn't the type to share. He says, is he handsome? I do love a husband and wife team. Maybe he'll let me join you both if he. And I just put the note LOL. So apparently I laughed at that. I don't know. He's so funny though. Like,
He is.
especially in this book, his banter is the best.
And this one, she was making the relic that liked secrets.
Oh,
And she
yeah.
tells the secret that she wants to stay and help Fisher, and it responds with "Save Fisher, save the gates, save Yelvera."
Yeah. I also marked where it says it's a Fae custom to mark their skin on their 5th wedding anniversaries. Said we tattoo the blessings we pray for onto our hands in the hopes that they become manifest. And then somebody makes the comment, you design these tattoos yourself and someone inks them into your skin. So then I said, so this is what her tattoos mean. So it felt like we finally kind of figured out why she got all of those tattoos, even though it's not their 5th
Yeah.
wedding anniversary. So I'm still a little bit confused about that.
Well, it says union between true mates were blessed with marks from their fates, and that's when it's revealed that she has the god binding, which is a blessing from the gods themselves.
Oh yeah, so that's what. Yeah, I just had to flip to the next page. So I have that too, and I said so. Obviously, they're true mates, and then I have more about the god binding. I had a lot. I said, and their gods blessed.
Cursed, as you would think.
I don't know why I did that. I said the lovers in those stories always suffered terribly. I highlighted that. One of them always died. They were beautiful tales, but they ended with heartbreak. And I just wrote the note, oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah, because you don't mention that in the story. I do remember that. I don't have it written down, but I do vividly remember that part too. Like,
Yeah.
if you're retelling it that all those tales always ended in tragedy, is this going to be the first one that isn't, or are we going to just conform and be like all the other ones and end in tragedy still?
Exactly. So that's what I was wondering. I was like, oh boy, which one of them is dying? Well, like that was mentioned for a reason. It was either mentioned because they're going to be the first ones that don't have that happen to them, or it's mentioned because it's like foreshadowing, one way or the other.
Something's happening and we're not liking it already.
My notes are so profound though, aren't they?
Oh, of course. I mean, mine
Just
aren't
all
any
these
better.
silly things.
Yeah, see, for chapter 35, I even have highlighted marks like theirs are marked for tragedy.
Yeah. Is that further in here somewhere? I don't know. I have
I don't know.
the thing about the O'Shaleth. Is that how you say that? The O'Shaleth? Like
Yeah,
they're
the story of
hatching and
it.
all that stuff. I have that as world building. And then I have the Kingfisher quote, you're the chink in my armor, Ceres, the soft spot where the knife slides in. I just like that quote.
See, I have my weakness, my vulnerability. I've known for centuries that you're my coming, that you are going to show up one day and change everything. Then that's where it's chink in my armor, the soft spot with my knife. Yeah. So yeah, I have it. I just have a whole entire confession written down. I went above and beyond. I like it more.
Then I don't have anything else, but yeah, historically marks like that come at a cost. They're the kind of marks that people will want to write stories about, not happy ones. So there's more of that foreshadowing that the marks are not their make marks or whatever, not necessarily a good thing.
And don't have anything else for that chapter. 20 or
I don't
36
either.
is where we get those witches, or Isabel comes in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and I'm
again,
still like I don't know how I feel about her.
well, see, right above it, I still have the Danya can jump off a cliff. I repeat, F her. Because
What'd
she
she
got in a
do in
fight
this
with Isabel,
chapter?
who was going to help. I know she was fighting and complaining with the witches, and they were going to help until she opened her mouth. Like, God, I really, really hate her.
Yeah, she's awful. She really is just a terrible character. She's so miserable. Like everything with her is just so blech.
I am hoping that maybe some Carrie and Lovin could change her.
You would think.
You would think. But I like
do have
Isabel from the beginning. I do like her.
I don't know how I feel about her. Like I liked her and then she seemed shady and then I liked her and then she seemed shady and I still am like not sure where I'm landing with her. Like I feel like she has good intentions, but I also feel like she has ulterior motives.
She probably does, considering all the witches had like abandoned the Yalveria hundreds of years ago. So she probably harbors some ill intentions and plans to do them dirty, but is seeing that they're not like her clan has told her they are. Like she's seeing for herself that they're not who people have told her that they would be. So now she's changing her story, changing her tune. So it's more or less, I think with her, it's an inner battle with herself. Like, do I follow my people?
Yeah.
Or do I see what's right in front of me and these are good fae? There's nothing wrong with them. They're not evil like my clan has led me to believe them to be.
Yeah. No, I think that's accurate. I did highlight Kingfisher's quote, or just, is it Fisher? Maybe it's Carrie and says, sure, why not? I'm too pretty to die old anyway. When Kingfisher asks, it's Carrion, I think, Fisher asks him if he's ready. Yeah, he says, I'm too pretty to die old anyway. And that takes me to the end of 36.
And 37 is the good one. He takes her back to that apartment in Ballard.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I I have the quote, "Your scent drives me crazy. You're like a effing drug. You light me up."
And of course, this is also the no one will ever F you the way I'm about to F you, Sierra's
Yep.
fan. I'm about to introduce you all 7 gods. When you meet them, don't forget to tell them I'm the one you worship on your knees.
Tear line right there.
Yep, and
He
you're an
says, "I'll
effing
be
drug.
damned
You
all
light
the way
me
to
up.
hell and back." Yeah. "I'll be damned all the way to hell and back if you use that sweet mouth on me and I don't get to watch."
'Cause I have the other line then too. God's alive. You're so pretty with your mouth wrapped around me
Mhm.
like that.
Yep. And then later on, he says, "My lips to kiss, my mouth to." So the line, "And sometimes that's just how things were supposed to be. There were moments that were gifts meant to be cherished only for as long as you could remember them." That line resonated with me for some reason. I don't know why. And then Kingfisher's line, "I'll be grateful for every second that I can say that I belong to you, Sarah Spain. 80 years or 18 hours, it doesn't matter to me. It'll still be the highest honor of my life." That was sweet.
Yes, he's always got some good lines.
Yeah. It's so funny though, because he can be so like dirty and then so sweet. I'm like, how do you
Yeah,
go from like these freaking
polar
dirty lines
opposites.
to these other ones? Yeah.
And then we go into the next chapter where Fisher leaves to save his sister, knowing that it'll be his death. Leaves her a note
Yeah.
apologizing her.
Yeah, that letter. I really liked the line, "I've never been one to trust in the gods, but I choose to believe that all things come from the same place when life begins. I've hoped that they return to the same place when it ends." I was like,
And I saw that he left his sword. I'd marked that Carrion pretends to be stupid, but he's smart, observant. He's very, very observant.
his joke. Do you have his joke?
No, I don't.
Oh my gosh. So I remember reading this and dying laughing. And I told Ryan, and Ryan actually laughed. So he says, "A husband turns to his wife one day and says, 'You know, I bet you can't think of something to tell me that will make me both happy and sad at the same time.' The wife doesn't even need to think about it. She turns to her husband and says, 'Your cock is way bigger than your brother's.'" I enjoyed that.
That was a good one.
Just true
It's this
Carrie.
chapter too that I noted that the Quicksilver knows, like it had always known with Daniel's old sword pieces. It had known even when she was pulling it from the wall that she was going to give it to Lorenth, or that it was going to become Lorenth's because it asked for the song, knowing Lorenth was a singer, like I'd said before.
Mhm.
The relic ring wanted a secret from Sierra's because she had many, and it was then that she revealed
And
that she
isn't that
wanted
the
to stay
one?
and help.
That's not where they tell her she's not going to remember what she gave up. That's different. That's a different thing.
Well, I
Is
think
that from
because
Brimstone?
she remembered with this song, she was going to give up. The secret was about, or the memory. It was the memory she didn't want to lose.
Okay. Yeah,
And then she
but it
kept the
was
memory
gone.
because she was going to
Yeah.
give up the memory of her mom, but kept it because that's what makes her who she is. Which I
Yeah,
did
and
like
she
that
gave up
too.
another one and we never find out what that one is because
Yeah,
while
something
she's
about her
trying
and
to
her
remember it,
brother.
it's gone. Yeah, but I
Yep,
think that's in Brimstone, isn't it?
maybe. And then also with the sword, because this is where we get Carrion's sword. It wanted a joke because it knew that Carrion's the comic relief.
So that was why Carrion told the joke then, and then he freaking names it Simon. My
Yes.
gosh. That was so good. I was so happy. Like I laughed out loud when he said that too. I was like, "Simon, really?"
Of all names, Simon?
But that's a
Perfect.
very like carrying thing to name it.
And then I did, even for that chapter, I do kind of like, it's more of a formatting. I like the way the word fallen is actually falling down the page.
Yeah, I like that too. That's cool. I did note here, Laura says, wait, or is it Isabel or however you say her name? "My people have been persecuted my whole life thanks to those vicious rumors." Oh yeah, it's her. Like we proved centuries ago, we had nothing to do with the curse that afflicted your kind. The Balkater clan was one of the 5 families charged by King Dianthus with finding a cure for the fake curse.
I did have that question if Isabel and Laurent had some sort of past. But even if they don't,
Yeah,
I'm
well, like what?
definitely aiming towards they have a future. They're hooking up.
Yeah,
They're
for
enemies.
sure.
They're enemies to
They're
lovers.
gonna have an enemies to lovers. Yeah.
And then 39 brings us to falling through the portal and landing into the lake. And of course, Sarah and Karen can't swim because they were raised in a land where there was basically no water.
And I forget what happens. There's more of that Anarath more. I don't know how you say that.
Yeah. But it also, in this chapter, is where we find out what it actually means. That phrase means release us
Yeah. And Heron comes back.
with Quicksilver for eyes.
But Fisher is trying to keep her from coming in.
Yeah, he doesn't want them to come in. And
is
40 is when we
that's the
find
is that
out.
the labyrinth?
Yeah, they climb up to the amphitheater, which is pretty much right there by that labyrinth.
All right.
And that brings us to finding
And
out
we find
who
out that
Malcolm's been
Madra,
working with this whole time.
yes, which is Madra and Belicon. And I just had a feeling as it was like getting further and further in. Well, I knew almost from the beginning that Madra and Belicon were in cahoots. And then Malcolm, I felt like something was like he was in on it too, because something felt not right there.
Especially when Eberlin ended up in his hands. Like, how did nobody else from the castle die? But here is Eberlin just right there with Malcolm. How did that happen so easily? And yeah, that definitely set off some red flags for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that was all very suspicious.
Other than that,
And
I
we
really
find out
don't have
about,
much on 40.
at the very end, he makes the comment, tell your friends all about the deal you struck with us all those years ago. Yeah, I don't really have a lot. I have nothing highlighted, but I just like those things. So we start to find out about Kingfisher's deal. And then we get the story, I think, of what finally happened at Gillithry. I don't know how you say that.
Yeah. Yeah, in chapter 41.
Yeah.
Where Billicon slit Fisher, starting off with Billicon slitting Fisher's mom's throat because she said she told him false prophecies.
Yeah.
I knew Fisher couldn't talk about what happened at Gill 3 because he made a blood oath.
I liked his quote where he said, I play back. It might not be today, but oh, I am coming to find you, Madra. Fear the shadows, bitch. I'm made of them. One night soon, I'll climb out of one and slit your effing throat.
Yep, I have that one written down too.
I was like, oh, damn.
Can't wait for that to happen.
Okay. I know. And he was pissed off about her taking away Ceres's option to have children.
Yes, that vengeance stays with him for a long time. But I have theories about that too.
Stabbed Belicon, but what?
About her right to reproduce being taken away from her. I have theories about that.
You think she's going to end up being able to? Yeah, I do too. They're going to find a way. Because he clearly wants children, and that wouldn't keep coming up if they weren't going to.
Yeah. And I think with just like with her blood oath to him, or her oath to him fading away when she died, basically, she was reborn. She was reborn as his hybrid. And we're jumping ahead of ourselves. But I definitely think that plays a huge part in.
It definitely could. Or she's got some. I want to say I noted something in Brimstone that made me think that she had some kind of power that could reverse that. Never mind.
I guess we'll get to that when we dissect Brimstone then. But yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know if you're there yet. Sorry.
I don't even remember what I read so far in that book. So that's okay.
42.
I do have a few things like that.
Okay.
Fisher kills Belican. We have the four of them flee into the labyrinth that Fisher had been stuck in for the last 100 years to try and find the coin to end to end the whole thing. They have to find that coin that was tossed, or toss the coin and catch it, and
Oh yeah. Yep.
I also have in here that
that's in like a whole
is
stack
firstborn son of Ruick and Amelia. Yes, whole huge pile of coins.
Yeah. Yeah, Carrion is the Dianthus there, however you say that.
Yeah, and he tricked Malcolm into drinking his blood because Dianthus' blood is toxic to Malcolm and his kind.
Yes, and we find out that he's always known, and he was adopted by the Swifts or whatever.
Yeah.
And I always felt like there was more to him. And there was a reason why his character was so central to the story, and why he had been the one who was brought back instead of Hayden. So like I knew there was more to him than we were seeing. I didn't quite know it was that, so I was a little bit surprised still, but I kind of it wasn't as much of a twist as I
had imagined.
Yeah.
And I do have here that Ceres leaves them to go find the coin because it has Quicksilver in it, so she can use her powers to find the Quicksilver.
Yep.
And then for chapter 43, what do you have? Much?
No.
Of course
this was
not.
so intense, the ending.
Let me do it all
I was
down.
so into it.
It really was. I think the ending is a lot where I took notes at the end of each chapter. I forced myself to write stuff down before going on to the next chapter because I knew I'd forget.
Yeah.
But in chapter 43, we find out that Malcolm wants to work closely with an alchemist who discovered the key to his blood gift. We'll find out what the runes on Ceres' fingers mean: the earth, fire, air, water, brimstone, quicksilver. And then I made a comparison that Malcolm is obsessed with Fisher, kind of like Amaranth was obsessed with Reese.
Yes. I can see that. Yeah, it is very Similar to that, like holding him underground for so long and like kind of forcing him to do his bidding, kind of like Amarantha did. That's a good comparison. I didn't even think about that.
And then I have it that she flipped the coin, saving the souls of Guild 3. Only the gods are eternal, is what she says as she cuts off Malcolm's head with Solus.
And of course, her being the one who kills Malcolm ends up being integral to the story of Brimstone.
Yes.
And then
And then I
she
did
dies
even mark
as well
here that the mate
right?
with,
In this chapter.
yeah, I marked here that the mate with the god binding always dies. And she had the god binding.
Yes. So the prophecy came true then because the runes, anybody with those runes, one of them dies. So she did. So let's hope that was the tragic ending and then they're done. They're good now.
Yeah. But considering there's 2 more books left, we know that that's usually not the case. Welcome to the world of fantasy.
Is there 2? I thought it was a trilogy. Or you
There's
mean
like 2 more
Brimstone
books after this
included?
one.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I thought you meant 2 more coming besides Brimstone. Sorry.
Get on the book we're on. Come on, girl. 44.
Yeah, I don't have anything for 44 either. I was just in it. I was in the story.
You were in the zone.
Yeah.
Because
I read the
this
last,
is when
like,
she
I
goes.
want to say like 200 some pages in one sitting.
Understandable. But this is where she goes into the Quicksilver and comes face to face with the gods. Where I knew Zarath or Zarath, whatever you say his name, I knew the god of chaos was coming back to us in some way. And I do have a big thing saved from the book what the voice says to Sierras that you're the mountain that weathers all storms. He is the storm. You are the peace that must come after it. Tell me, do you believe in the fates, alchemist? Do you not drift too far from the shore, Sierras fan? Come back now, come back. You stand at the door. Your hand is poised to knock. Are you ready to walk through it? Will you leave the place and see what lies beyond in the next? It was just a whole bunch of like, I figure all of this is going to come into play at some time.
Yeah, that whole thing. That was the whole when she was with the god the whole time, right? And like the other realm or whatever. And he was kind of explaining everything to her, right? And like gave her the option to go back. And of course she chose to go back because she wanted to be with Fisher.
Zarath also says that he waited a long time for an alchemist to reset the balance and clear the way for what's to come. They talk about the rot that's
there was a lot
infecting
of
the tree with all of the
yeah. So he kind of I do
it was a
remember
big
that
info
he
dump.
really that was kind of where they first started. Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of a lot. There was a lot to process there and kind of take in and unpack and all that.
And that they even talk about how they did try to sway the fates because they put her in a different realm as Fisher, and yet they still managed to find each other. It was always destined to be that they were always destined to be together.
Yeah, I do remember that too. And that's when she finds out that doesn't she find out something about their bond while she's there too? Or was it just that?
Pretty much just
I
that
thought
because
she
I had it
learned more
marked down
about their
that
bond, like their
Sierra's was
bond.
supposed to be Fae.
And he sent her back with a mission, didn't he? Or with a task?
Well, it was more he sent her back with the knowledge that the fates would no longer be able to intervene from this point on because she was something different now.
Yeah. And she comes back as a hybrid, half Fae, half
Yes.
vampire.
Because Tal turned her to help save her, and Zorath turned her into a Fae to make her the hybrid.
Yeah.
And then that last chapter, all we find out then too is like Fisher's father is the one that took Carrion to Zalvern, the Silver City, when he was little to keep him safe. And that Sierras is now the new queen because she killed Malcolm.
Yep. And I did highlight the quote, human, fae, or vampire, it doesn't matter how long you live, Saris, you will always be most sacred to me. Kingfisher says that to her. I just thought that was nice.
I did mark this little parallel that I noticed that it started with her dying with a hole in her stomach when Fisher came to save her. And it ended with her dying with a hole in her stomach.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Did not even catch that. Totally missed that. And so then, of course, the next book picks up almost right where this one leaves off.
We'll get into that in our next episode. But what would you rate Quicksilver?
Yeah. I think I rated it. Hold on. I got to pull my journal out here. What about you?
I did have it marked down as a 5 because it was one of those ones where, you couldn't put it down. I was always thinking about it, but I don't know. Brimstone, now reading that is kind of making me want to push it down to like a 4.5.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm trying to find it in here. My reading journal. I rated it 4.5 stars because For the reason that I said I wasn't sure about this at first, for a little while the banter was corny. I told you that. I preferred her dynamic with Carrion over her
Yeah, you did.
dynamic with Kingfisher. But chapter 22 changed my mind. Of course, that's the chapter where they first, yeah. And then I said, though I
Yeah, hooked
still
up.
love Carrion, he's hilarious. But in this, yeah, in the second half, I couldn't put this down and I devoured it. So it was a 4.5 for me because the beginning was a little, and then it got better towards the end and I couldn't put it down. I feel like Brimstone was the opposite. It starts out like where I couldn't put it down and then got to a point where I was like, I couldn't pick it up.
Yeah, I feel that because, again, I'm kind of at that point myself.
But more on that later.
Yeah. We'll dive into that next episode.
Thanks for sticking around to the end. We'd love to hear what you rated Quicksilver, so make sure you leave it in the comments below so we know that you're one of our VIPs that actually listened to the whole thing. Don't forget to subscribe so you can catch all of our other videos, and give us a like if you enjoyed the video. Catch you next week.